Sanbatskano. I'm Peter Bittner. You're watching Talk With Me.
Sanbatskano. Hello and welcome to Talk With Me. I'm your host, Peter Bittner. Today's guest is Mөнхсоёл Monголын, the CEO of the Institute of National Strategy and an economic expert on Mongolia's economy. Mөнхsоёл Monголын, CEO of the Institute of National Strategy, is one of the foremost experts on Mongolia's economy and financial sector. Soyotlo is the recipient of a variety of prestigious international fellowships, including a Humphrey Fellowship to the United States. A regular contributor to Mongol HD and Bloomberg TV stations, Soyotlo is also a very active civil society leader involved in a number of high-profile volunteer projects. Thanks so much for joining us today, Soyotlo.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So tell us your general impressions of Mongolia's economy at the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, it's January of 2019, and everybody is considering about what will happen in this year and what happened last year. So if we conclude the last period, actually in 2018, Mongolian economy was doing quite well. In terms of budget, we had some surplus, and also in terms of GDP growth, it was increasing even more than 5%. And also the inflation was quite stable, around 8%, and as well as unemployment rate was decreasing. If you see the economics, business side, foreign direct investment was increasing, increased quite even more than 15%, and then also the other domestic main sectors, including mining, was doing quite well. And in Mongolia, mining sector is important, and sometimes it's criticized that the Mongolian economy is too much dependent on this sector. It makes Mongolian economy quite vulnerable, because if the commodity prices are going down in the international market, then we wouldn't have enough revenue as we predicted, as we planned for the state budget, and then we will have budget deficit. Then we cannot cover all the salary and wage cost and all public services cost and so on. So it's good that the economy is improving from last part of 2017. And 2018. Also 2017, and then it was doing even great in 2018.
That's right. Okay.
And also we shouldn't forget about why it was that. And then one of the reasons is like in 2017 in May, Mongolian government made an agreement with IMF to have extended fund facility program, and it's not only the funding will come from IMF. Also, we had this complete full package, including all donors and bilateral countries' contribution, and the sum of it is $5.5 billion US. So that helped to Mongolia to increase confidence of foreign and domestic investors, and to spend money into the market. And also it helped to raise funding from the international market to pay back our public debt. And of course, the government of Mongolia is trying to do better in terms of policy, but unfortunately, due to our unstable political situation, it actually creating more risk and uncertainty to not only to foreigners as well as domestic business owners, businesses. But as I said, in terms of government and political instability, that part of the country actually, the thing which we should pay attention on. And otherwise, we still talking about the big mega projects, including mining sector. We should not forget about mining sector, because anyway, even we want or don't want, the mining sector is actually the main part of Mongolian economy, and it brings most of the revenue to the budget. More than 22% and so on. Even it was 30% before. And but now, in order to not depend on mining sector, we have to think about diversify our economy for sure. It was talked for many years by all politicians and international organizations, all economists of Mongolia. But it's not easy task to implement. While focusing on the mining sector, we still need to be creative, focusing on agriculture sector and ICT sector, and also tourism and meat industry and so on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was a very comprehensive look at the state of Mongolia's economy. And what are some of the things that this current political controversy could cause in the early part of 2019? You mentioned it might scare away foreign direct investment potentially. Do you see that as a serious risk?
Yeah, it might be, because nowadays already some fights against political parties and among political parties, and even between fractions of one political parties. And it's always the dilemma for people to decide whom they should trust, because every big public figure, I mean the politician, they blame each other, and it's not easy to find out the ultimate truth. And as well as we heard a lot of corruption related scandals, including small and medium enterprises related fund, development fund related corruption issue.
An effort to diversify Mongolia's economy.
Yeah, and then many people were confused why they use that money with very low interest rate just for their own benefit. Theoretically and practically, politicians are supposed to work for their own country, for the society and for the people of this country. But then, unfortunately, many of them couldn't, play this role. Only they mostly focus on themselves, focus on their party, focus on their fraction. Then it, even if you see the last research which was made by IRIME, Independent Research Institute of Mongolia, they did research on well-being of society, and then they found out that the trust level of the citizens to the government, and then as well as to politicians and political party, even trusting to each other is becoming very low. So in the society, trust is very important, I guess. So for that, current political situation is playing very, negative role. That should be improved. And then besides this SME related scandal, there is also other scandal, and then big, information about this 60 billion Tuareg related stuff.
Right.
What does it mean is like, that political parties, they were discussing about the biggest political parties, they were discussing about how they can raise funding for their political campaigning, and then they could sell some high level of positions in the public service in advance.
Right.
That was, the information in the society, and people got a lot of different information, but nobody, even the court, couldn't decide it was right or not, and it's, dilemma, as I said before. So it's not only I am saying, the World Bank, they do have governance indicators, including corruption and also government stability, and then voice of people and so on. And then Mongolia is not doing that well in terms of those indicators. And as well as if you see the indicator of World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report, Mongolia is also not doing well, even worse. It's placed like in 120 something out of 144 countries in terms of judicial independence.
Right.
So those kind of legal and governance environment is actually very important, not only for the businesses, also for the citizens and people. So because of that, I was, mentioning about it when you asked about the economy.
So tell us a little bit about your business, or is it a think tank? Tell me a little bit about the Institute of National Strategy. What's the mission of it? How did it start, and what are you working on now?
Yeah, actually, before that, I was working for the Open Society Forum. That is called former Source Foundation of Mongolia. And then I was in charge of economic policy program. And then we have been had implemented quite many projects and programs on macroeconomy, and as well as budgeting process and opening the budget and so on. And then I went to study in Canada, and when I came back, actually people from that institute who established that institute, the board members approached me to lead that institute, is using my previous experience for working for the Open Society Forum. And then I accepted that request, and then I has been working for that institute since 2014 as a volunteering job, because I had my own job as working for the German International Cooperation, GIZ. And then the main goal of this think tank is to provide the public in the good, solid information about economic, solutions, about the business environment, and also we have been trying to contribute the country's strategy and planning. So we have been doing different activities, including organizing different workshops, and together with journalists, and once also with the Economic Standing Committee of the Parliament, and so on. And then we used to write bi-weekly article in terms touching the issues of economy and businesses, but once in 2 weeks. And it was in both languages. We, published. We have been publishing it in different magazines and as well as newspapers, and of course we published it on, posted it on social media.
Right.
And then, having think tank is not easy task. We have been working, all of us working as volunteer, and then lately we also started implementing one project which is called Green City Economic Plan. This project, we are doing it partnering with other international organizations, and it's funded by EBRD, and we are closely working with municipality of Ulaanbaatar, because the ultimate goal is to review the policy framework, as well as to create investment ideas, investment projects that EBRD and other donors can invest in.
So what does EBRD stand for those in the audience who may not be familiar with that organization? Yeah,
EBRD is European Reconstruction and Development, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. And then they do this project not only in Mongolia, they do it in other 15 cities as well, globally. And then their goal is to encourage cities to develop green. So those cities are trying to focus on having good environmental development, including all areas such as energy, water, and land, industry, waste management, and so on.
That's all very important for Ulaanbaatar.
All different sectors are considered
so you
under
must,
this project.
Okay. So you must be working with a number of different government agencies and other organizations then? Or tell me a little bit about who you're working with on that project.
For this project, besides, mainly we work with the municipality of Ulaanbaatar. But then we also needed to work with this, for example, Ministry of Energy, also Ministry of Environment, and sometimes also we contact with the Ministry of Construction and Urban Development. And because, all those different sectors are relevant, you know, under the policy of those relevant line ministries. We are getting information from them because now we have completed our policy framework. In Mongolia, there are almost more than 60 policy papers on how to develop green. And then some are at macro level, including different sectors. Some are the focused sectoral policy papers. So we have been trying to catch up what are the main goals in terms of green development, and then based on that, we want to have investment projects and as well as capacity building workshops and so on. Mm-hmm.
So you're taking all of that literature and research and reports that have been done and really condensing it and making it accessible to the municipality.
Yeah, fortunately we have good team. Internationally and domestically. Our domestic team consists of environmental expert, urban planning expert, and as well as energy engineering and so on.
Fantastic. Wow. And you're also a regular contributor on Mongol HD as an economic expert. So could you tell us a little bit about your work there and how you got started?
Yeah, it was like when I started doing it just on my birthday.
Oh,
and
really?
It was, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
May 26th of 2017. So I'm doing this job more than 1.5 years maybe. Yeah, and then actually I was invited to to comment on economic issues. And then of course in Mongolia there are so many great economists and very many capable people, but it's not bad to provide some information in terms of in the sector of economy. Why I accepted that invitation is, first of all, I knew that Mongolian people need to get more information and more knowledge in terms of economic issues, because if they are informed well and if they are strengthened, then they can make good choices, not only for their personal, livelihood, but as well as when, for example, when they vote during the parliamentary and the presidential election, they can make quite rational, voting if they are informed well and maybe I'm not so sure if I say educated well in certain cases. That was my, I thought that can be my significant contribution to my society.
Sure, that's a great way.
I really want, Mongolia has huge potential in terms of its human resource and as well as its economy, if you see the wealth of the nature. But then we are not using this potential in an effective and efficient way. So for that, everybody like us who are educated should contribute to the society and should help to others.
Could you tell us a little bit about your economic club? That's one way in which you're also helping to reach out and educate people.
That is also part of my volunteering work, and I together with some other people organized this economic club. I'm just doing this coordinating role, inviting a speaker and as well as posting my announcement on my social media and club social media, and my friends, colleagues, they are sharing it. Actually, that was initially requested by Mr. Jargal, who is doing this de facto. And then we have been doing this together for more than 1 year. And then since then, we have been continuing it. And then it's quite well, people are really asking about it. When we had some breaks during the Lunar New Year or Nadam or New Year, they started asking, when are you going to continue to have event? Because this is good platform, informal platform for people to listen, to talk and discuss about the selected topic. And then people appreciate it also because they couldn't meet invited speakers often time, or it's not sometimes easy to access and so on, you know. So I think because of the speaker and the topic, people like to come. It's good to see that people like to get more information and they like to be informed and get more knowledge. That is good to see because it's organized early in the morning from 7:30.
Okay, so before the workday starts most times.
So I should say that I appreciate those people who come to our club.
That's fantastic. And you're also very involved in a few other volunteering opportunities. I know you're on the board of MASA, right, which is a U.S. State Department, U.S. Embassy organization that really is building community among those Mongolians who've studied in the United States. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, it's good that the U.S. Embassy, they, together with alumni, established this MASA, as you said. And then people who graduated from schools in the U.S., they can be member of this association. And then every 2 years, new board members are elected. I'm one of the board members from 2017 to 2019.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And then we are all trying to do some good job for the people, especially for youth. So MASA is always encouraging the volunteerism. So we like to talk about what is volunteerism and then how people can do volunteering work. And also the state of, you know, U.S. State Department of America, they have this grant for alumni globally, and it's very competitive. And the Mongolians also, alumni members can apply for those different kind of projects in each year. And then Mongolians are doing quite well. Once we together got the project,
That's right. Yeah,
that was called Empowering Entrepreneurship, Women and Girls Entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
And then we together organized trainings in Seongun, Harhang, and Chingal district with other Mongolian alumni. And I'm proud of our project.
Yeah, that's how we met, full disclaimer. So Soyatho and I originally volunteered in their areas leading a number of workshops for women entrepreneurs. And yeah, that's a great example of the work of MASA and Mongolians who are educated abroad, coming back and really, you know, trying to apply that education and pay back, you know, pay forward into the community. So that's great.
Together we organized the book donation event, and also there's a very how can I say, capable guy whose name is Idre, who's working for the U.S. Embassy of Mongolia. He is leading us. He also helped us to get the project. We brought together a nice project and then got the funding from the U.S. Government, and then we are implementing project to talk about mentorship and also how to choose their vocations. I mean, for the high school kids in countryside, we selected 6 provinces through that project.
So Idre does a great job. Yeah, he's the one who connected us and is really mobilizing that whole network. And it's great work that they're doing. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy. I know you have some strong values when it comes to things like volunteering and giving back. I mean, where does that come from? Tell me a little.
So I think naturally as a human being, I think I like to be among people. I like to talk, I like to make friendships, or you know, whatever. It's good to get new information, new knowledge, and knowing other people, you will even empower yourself. That is, I think, the natural, what nature gave to me. And second of all, you know, I got quite many scholarships, including the scholarship from French government. I studied in France. I also got the Japanese scholarship. I studied in Bangkok. at the AIT Asian Institute of Technology.
Oh, wow.
And also later on I also studied in the US, studied at Michigan State University and so on.
Great
so
school.
I got the US government scholarship for that. Scholarships means the government, all those different countries' government, they supported people from low and mid-level income countries in order those youth to contribute back to their own society, to contribute much more development of their own countries. So if you get, you have to give back, I guess. So my ultimate goal was, of course, first of all, to strengthen myself, get more capacity, get more knowledge, and I mean, gain more knowledge, more information, and also I extend my networking and so on. But meanwhile, after we come back, or I come back, I was thinking to contribute to the country's development. So one of the ways to contribute is doing volunteering work. It's not difficult, it's easy, so why not? So give back is not only, the philosophy of giving back is not only, you know, calculated by money, different kind of donations. Whatever you can do for others, you can do, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah.
So speaking of giving back and speaking of, you know, your work in the community and leadership here in Mongolia, you know, I'd like to talk a little bit about your experience running for parliament. You know, tell us about your thoughts and reflections on that, and tell us if maybe there's another run in the future for you.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't have any, purpose of career to be in the politics. It was, sudden change for me. Why? Because first of all, I just joined with some my friends and colleagues the club which is called Human and Development. And then we have been talking about different issues, how Mongolia can develop in terms of economic, in terms of health sector, in terms of education sector, and also how we should use our wealth revenue and so on. And then eventually they had started talking about politics, and then they invited me to become their political party member and so on. So in November 2015, I decided to become a member of this party. And then in 2016, I ran for the parliament seat in 59th district in the municipality of Ulaanbaatar. So the constituency number was 59. It's center of the city area, and as well as 2 horses from Baganur were added. So I did my election campaigning in 8 horses in total. And the result was like I came 3rd out of 9 or 8 candidates in my constituency.
Great.
It was, on one hand, it was nice to talk with different people, I mean the citizens, and also to explain what is my philosophy, what I want to do, how I want to contribute myself to my country, and what different kind of programs and policies can be implemented in order to enhance people's livelihood and so on. But on the other hand, it's quite tough. If you consider the political party and election laws, and as well as political parties, and also electoral campaigning funding side is very tough, and also for people who are not familiar yet, is the duration of the campaigning days is quite short. It was like
Very
by
short.
law it's 18 days, but in reality it's 17 days because 24 hours in advance we have to stop all campaigning and so on. But everything has advantages and disadvantages. As it is, like 17 days is good in terms of costing. Less money will be spent. So for that part, I like it. And also in 2016, the election law was changed just before the election happened.
Right.
You know.
So would you consider another run or for a different office in the future?
I guess so, yes. Yeah.
I'm sure you've learned a lot.
It's not easy task, it's very tough actually, but still my ultimate goal is there, so I didn't lose my energy yet. So
good.
I'm still fighting, I'm still trying to do my best. And also if you want to see the real situation, there is a documentary which was produced by IRI.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Tell me
and
about
then
that.
they used to come to the 6 selected women candidates during their election campaigning. And then whenever they want, they come and interview us or shooting that how we are doing our election campaigning in the streets and so on. So that is actually a real documentary.
I'd love to see
If people want
that.
to see that.
Right, and
Leveling up the playing field.
Okay, and can people find it online on
Yeah, and
IRI?
it has, yes,
The
and it has
international-
a subtitle in English.
And what does IRI stand for? It's International Republican Institute?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great.
Yes.
So yeah, hopefully our viewers can check that out at
Yeah,
home.
other people also participated, including Miss Ayung Geril, former member of parliament, and Miss Ayung,
Okay.
also former
Oh, fantastic.
member of parliament, and others.
You bet. Thanks so much for your time today, Soetha.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
All the best as well.
thank you. That does it for today's episode of Talk With Me. That was Mөнхсоёл Monголын, CEO of the Institute of National Strategy and an economic expert on Mongolia's economy. I'm your host, Peter Bittner. You can connect with us on Facebook at Talk With Me Star TV Mongolia. You can also watch this episode and many others on our YouTube channel, Star TV HD. Thanks so much for joining us today at home. We hope you'll tune in again next time. Bye.